Hello, everyone. Sorry for the movement. I just realized I didn't shut my door here. And if my housemates come home, that's sort of rude. So, Brenda, Florida here. It's time for cocktails and coaching tonight. And we have Here We Come. If I push the right button, here we come. Nilla Weber is on her way in here to join our video. Here she comes. Wait for it. Wait for it. Woohoo! She is connecting. She's connecting.
Hi.
There you are.
I'm good. Can you hear me?
Hi. How are you?
Great.
It's,
Yes.
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Well, thank
You
you.
look beautiful. Oh, Sandra is here. Hi, Sandra. How are you? So Sandra was in
Oh,
From Darkness
Sandra,
to Light with us.
hi.
Yeah, and now she's in Get Everything with me. She's
Wonderful.
one of my founding members in the Get Everything
Yes.
membership group. So that's super exciting. So fun to see you here tonight, Sandra. Um, yeah, so you look
Oh,
especially beautiful. Let
you
me see
know,
this
you and I
top.
got
What's
this
on the?
together. Look, she's drinking a martini. So I figured, like,
Oh,
whenever can I wear this, except for a
oh my
drinking and talking
gosh.
episode,
Yes.
you know?
Cocktail.
Look,
Yeah.
how,
Well, okay, folks. So, I'm trying to brand things in my company, and so I call it cocktails and coaching. And, it creates brand confusion when people change the name of things. But my dearest friend here, Miss Nilla, she thinks we should call
who
it
agrees
drinking
with
and
me?
talking instead of cocktails and coaching, which, yeah. Thank you, Sandra. I think it's pretty. Yes,
Oh, thank you.
Sandra's just told you your top is pretty. Um, so I don't know. We may have to take it to the board
Yeah.
of directors about changing the name to drinking and
But
talking.
anyway, true to my shirt, I actually also made my husband make a Cosmo.
Hmm.
So now I have it on my shirt and one in hand. Oh, you do too.
And now,
Cheers.
yes, and I even went today. Cheers. So I even went today. So you would probably
Mm-hmm.
recognize this glassware, but this is my favorite stemware. So this is a pattern that Williams Sonoma has, and they sell it open stock, right? So you can just go buy one glass or two glasses or whatever, and then a couple times a year they put them on sale. And so I have two of what to me is everything. I'm sure it's not, but I have two martini glasses, two champagne glasses, two wine glass, like red wine, big red wine glasses, and two highball glasses. And but I've had most of it packed away all this time I've been, in my
You
car.
busted it out.
But tonight I unpacked it back in May. I did. Like, I don't know if you remember this, but when I posted, this is when I was house
Yeah.
sitting for my friend Nancy that has the beautiful pool in the backyard. And I took out my bar glasses for the first time in May since I left your house in December and cried. Like, I just unpacked my bar glasses in this innocent, oh, it's cocktails and coaching, and I'm going to be in this house for a week, so I might as well pull out some of my glasses because I miss drinking out of
Yeah.
them. And all of a
Oh.
sudden, I'm weeping because
Well,
I'm
hey,
reunited with my stemware
it's
again.
important stuff. And hi, Claire. Good to
So
see you, Clara.
I got it back out tonight. Hey, Claire. Good to see you. Cheers to you. So, what are you ladies drinking? So, Claire, I know where you are, but everybody else doesn't. So, tell us where you live, Sandra and Claire, and what you're drinking tonight. And anybody else who watches on the replay, because
Yeah.
it's always fun on the replay to see who's joining us, where they're from, what you're drinking. And of course, there's no pressure to
Not
drink
at all.
booze. This is not like a peer pressure drunk fest, not at all. You can have water. You can have, in fact, usually half the time I'm the only one drinking. Everybody else is like, oh, I'm having sparkling water. I'm like, oh, I'm having
Why
booze. That's what
not?
I'm doing. Why not? I mean, I got a late start in life on the drinking. It's like sex. My drinking life and my
A
sex
late
life.
bloomer.
My sex life started first at 36. I'm a very late bloomer, and I really didn't start drinking much until I was 40. Oh, in fact, it was about the time I met
Ooh.
you.
Oh, yeah. Let's change the subject.
But I can't blame you because, yeah, I
Yeah.
can't blame you because it
Just
started a little before you. But
I tagged right along. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm so
Well,
happy to
thank you
be
for
here with
inviting
you.
me.
Thank you, Nilla, for agreeing to co-host. Yeah, yeah, it's so fun. So I'm very excited. I'm a little low in my picture here, but anyway. Um, how do
I
you have your
have it
phone
on a
so
little
magically
stand
propped
actually
up?
that I've like it's a little stand.
See,
Yeah.
my stand, yeah, I have two stands actually, but both of them only allow my
Oh,
phone
really?
to go horizontally. They and
That seems
Facebook
dumb.
needs you to be
Yeah.
vertical. Yeah, it does now that now that I've used it for a long time. Oh, that's right, Sandra, you're in Pittsburgh. So everybody but me is in Pennsylvania right now. Um, Strawberry water. Yes. Yes. Listen, strawberry water is better than plain water, right? Um, um, but yeah, so I have to get
Yeah.
a different
Yeah.
one
Makes
that
it
will let me
easier.
turn my phone the other way. Um, yeah, but anyway, back to drinking and talking. So, one of the reasons that I wanted to have you as my co host is because, of course, many of us who have been involved in my private Facebook group know that you make jewelry, because oftentimes I've given a piece of your jewelry away as a free gift with purchase, or had you
Yeah.
post things in there that I really liked or whatever. So for people who have been in the Facebook group for a long time, they may already know who you are, but we know that Cocktails and Coaching is not limited to just those people. And so I would like for you, plus you did this
Yeah.
gorgeous video.
Hmm.
Is that video on your website? Okay, and so maybe you would do us a favor. It doesn't have to be while we're
Okay.
talking. You can wait till we're done and put it in the comments. But I would love for you to put a link to your site so people can watch this video, or even just tomorrow, later tonight or tomorrow, if you want, do a
Hmm.
post outside
In your
of this
group.
Facebook Live that
Okay.
is a link directly in the group, that's a link directly to that video, because I think it's the most beautiful thing. I mean, I've known this woman
Oh,
for, how long have we known each
20.
other?
Yeah.
Like
I want to say almost 20 years.
17, yeah, 18. Oh, so it's 2019. We met when I was
Yeah.
41 and I'm 58.
Yeah.
So, 17 years. And when I watched that video, I learned things about you that I didn't know. And it was just so
Oh,
beautiful.
thank
Like, it
you.
made me cry, like in a happy way. It was just very touching because you're so transparent about who you are as a woman and your jewelry, and really what drives, why
Yeah.
you do it, why you make your jewelry. And I think some of it, because when you're really close to somebody, it's easy to, I don't know, take it for granted isn't quite right, but it's not
Yeah.
like you and
It's
I
easy to
would
miss it.
talk about
Yeah.
those
Hmm.
aspects of it because we know each other so well. Yeah. And so when I heard you talking about it, it was just so sweet to me. And so share with everybody a little bit. And thank you, Claire. Yeah, Claire's in Sumneytown, Pennsylvania, but you haven't told us what you're drinking, darling. Or we'll throw you out if you're not. No. We're not throwing anybody out. Heck, you can't get out of this club. Even if you want out, we don't let you out. um, but tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about your story, of coming to the US and what got you really inspired to start doing the jewelry. And as I said in my blog today, Nilla has a very demanding full-time corporate job. You're out of the country a lot because you work for a Swedish company, so she travels to Sweden for work often.
Oh,
And, a husband and the two cats. And, it's not like you're
mm,
sitting around wondering what to do all day. And so, kind of how you have over time prioritized, because you've grown your business a lot and you've grown the amount
hmm.
of jewelry you make a lot in the last year or so. So that was a lot of things I just threw at you, but
Okay.
start telling us that story.
So hi everybody. I'm Nilla. I grew up in Sweden and I moved to the US when I was around 25, 26, and I moved here for work. I work for a Swedish manufacturing company. Even when I was young, I think I was fairly creative. Like I like to draw and I like to write. I wrote little stories and things like that. Um, and it wasn't until a little bit later that I started making jewelry, and that just came um, from just wanting to take a class, wanting to. I spent too much money buying jewelry. I just thought jewelry was fantastic. I felt that it made me feel good. I liked gemstones. And I figured, like, why couldn't I just
Mm-hmm.
make some of this? So me and a friend, Lori, and I'm not sure if she's on here, but her and I took.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
No, not
Laura and I
yet, but I
took
hope she'll join
a
us. Yeah.
jewelry class in Philadelphia many years ago, and then I was hooked ever since. And of course, it started out as a hobby, and not a business the first go around that I did it. So I made a lot of jewelry for a few years. I would just give it away as gifts, or sell something to my coworkers or family and friends, but which is very, yeah, or friends, but
Or friends.
yeah, so they were like
I have some of those early
the
pieces.
early pieces, but I got tons of just enjoyment out of that. It was fantastic. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and then I work uh, day job work took off with a vengeance for, I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember now, but probably a project or something like that that made me have to kind of put all this stuff away, and I was in Sweden for work almost half the time, half the year, so it was very hard to keep a momentum
Mm-hmm.
going with making jewelry. So for a few years I actually didn't make any, because when I was home it was packed away, and it was just too much resistance to start over. So for a few years I didn't
Mm-hmm.
make any. And then I think with creativity, it's like so many other things where you can maybe not do it, or you can get distracted by other things until the pain of not making it is greater than the pain, so I just
Mm.
came to a point where
Oh, I
it was like
love that. Yeah.
I have to get started again. So I set up a room here in my house
Mm-hmm.
as my studio, and I took out all my tools and all my stones and all my everything I had, and kind of uh, just looked at that beautiful mess and just like, how do I get started? And then that time around, I was determined for some reason to, now I'm just really gonna make a go of this, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna create my own business. I wanted to do it. Um, I wanted the
Mm-hmm.
experience of creating a business, which is also a creative thing to do. Like, I'd never done that before.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it
Yes.
was very exciting
Yeah.
to get back into the creative mode, and at the same time launching the business at the same time. So yeah, that's kind of how I got to where I'm at. And then once I had everything kind of set up here, then it's so easy. This is a great place for me to just come to after work or on the weekends, and I just sit here. I might not really know what I'm gonna do, and I just start messing with something, and then sometimes it turns into absolutely nothing, and sometimes an idea takes shape in different ways. I mean, inspiration and creativity, it doesn't just like hit you with perfect ideas that you can just execute. I feel that I have
Mm-hmm.
a number
Mm-hmm.
of kind of half formed ideas always running around in my head, and then it will take some time and dedication to kind of nourish those ideas into becoming something that works. And sometimes that could take 3-4 months. Something can be
Yeah.
buzzing around up there, and sometimes it's quicker, but
Oh,
but
okay.
that whole, it does take a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of work to get to a point where you know what you want to make or do, at least for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So, oh, sorry. I thought
Yeah,
I
I'm
just
sure
knocked
I'm
my
going to do
drink
that at
over, but
some
it was a
point here
bottle of
too.
water.
I
It's
talk with
okay.
my
All is
hands, then
well.
things go flying. Yeah, yeah.
Right. Not me. Not me. So So I think that's a great point, because I think there's an illusion, and I know I can fall into this even now, even though for the last, several years, I've created, in the writing and things like that in my business, creating different kinds of creations than a jewelry, but same kind of, it's a creative process. And I forget sometimes that yes, every idea doesn't, once you start working through it, doesn't actually turn out to be that great, and gets put aside or something,
Yeah.
and other things take a long time to germinate,
Mm-hmm.
and then other things come really
Mm-hmm.
quickly, and it's just like, ooh, I know, I'm going to do this and this. But it's easy to fall into the illusion that this is just that's just me. Because other people like you who are creative, you just sit at your work,
Yeah.
table and go,
Yeah.
ooh,
Yeah. It
it's
doesn't
like
work like that.
shitting rainbows or
Oh,
something. You
yeah.
just,
Yeah. No,
beautiful
it doesn't.
jewelry pops out.
It really doesn't work like that. And that's, I think you're onto something there, because sometimes I think there is this, could be some pressure around feeling inspired or creative. But I think inspiration and creativity is a little bit two different things. Like I can feel inspiration from
Hmm.
many different things, but it doesn't mean that I'm in a place where I can create. But the
Hmm.
inspiration can come from many different places. It can be walking in the woods, or listening to music, or having a conversation with somebody, and then you can have that little
Hmm.
embryo of an idea
Hmm.
that you get, and that inspiration
Hmm.
of like, oh, that's something I need to keep in mind and remember and keep working on. um, but then the
Hmm.
creativity of actually taking that idea and making it to something else. I have to be in the right state of mind to do that. That doesn't just come to me. That is where I need to sit and scribble,
Yeah.
or uh, draw, or yeah, just let it kind of manifest itself somehow. That
Yeah.
that part doesn't happen. Like the first bit could come, sort of hit me, but like actually making something of it is actually
Yeah.
hard work most of the time.
Yeah. So, Sandra just put in the comment, it's easy to forget that we have that
Yeah.
creative side that we can tap
Yes.
into. So I love that point, Sandra, because I think that's so true. And so I wonder, like you mentioned, you did creative things when you were young, like writing and stuff. So have you always had a sense of yourself as a creative person, or has that come and gone in your life? Because I think some people always know they're creative, like they're almost
Yeah.
tormented by how creative they are, and then I think there's just, like all things, it's all areas of the spectrum where, like, I never thought of myself as creative until much later in life. But
Yeah.
again, oh, it was probably when I
Yeah, that
started
helps.
drinking. No. And talking. It was the drinking and talking that saved me. No, but I was much older because, one, I discounted. So I was a singer, and I guess because I wasn't writing my own music or something, I never considered any of my singing and the ways I express myself
Mm.
musically to be creative.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
now I wouldn't say that. I mean, but at the time, and it came so easy to me.
yeah,
It's like
yes.
cooking is for me
And
now.
that's very
I love
creative.
to cook. One of our
Yes,
favorite nights
yes,
ever was our pasta
yeah,
making night.
it was
That's
great.
still just one of my favorite nights ever with you and Chris. Um, and so that's very creative. But I didn't think of it that way
Yeah.
because it was easy for me to do. So tell me what that journey was, because I think it's different for
Okay,
everybody, but I'd
so
love to
in
know how that's been for you.
retrospect, I can see it the same way you are seeing it. I was
Hmm.
creative all through my life, but it wasn't always
Okay.
art. Like, and when I was
Mm.
younger,
Hmm.
uh, to some degree, I just feel like my mind was healthier. I wouldn't shame or guilt myself into thinking I wasn't creative. That never entered my mind when I was
Mm.
younger. That was probably
Mm.
something that probably I've been, more tough with myself later. But when I
Got
was in my
conditioned.
20s, I
Hmm.
didn't really think
Hmm.
think of it like that. But if I think of creativity as something that could have to do with other things than just art, then you can be creative when it comes to like problem solving or working with teams. So you can be very
Mm-hmm.
creative in the corporate world. So I was that for a while because I didn't have room for anything else. But I think,
Mm-hmm.
now I use my creativity
Mm-hmm.
uh, with that in a great way. um, there's periods
Mm-hmm.
of time that I didn't do anything but run. That was also like kind of a creative outlet, although maybe
Yeah.
not feel so creative for people that somebody's just running without a destination, but it was still creative in a way where, you know how should I do this? What course should I do? What is my race plan? What is this? What is that? How should I? It was still a way for me to kind of improve and get better and have goals and reach somewhere where
Yes.
I started. I wanted to improve on it, which I and yeah. So I feel like I've been. Go ahead.
So yeah, no, I love what I love that you just mentioned running. And as you're talking about running as a creative process, here comes Alyssa Crawford,
Oh.
who is throwing us kisses, mwah, mwah, back at you, honey, and says hi to two beauties. So hi, honey, and thank you, and back at you. So Alyssa is my daughter, for those of you who don't know. And Alyssa is a fitness instructor. And so now you just got me on that because I wouldn't have thought of
Mhm.
running you're running, whatever, as creative. I mean, not that I don't know that I would have said it's not,
Yeah.
but like whatever, it doesn't jump to mind as something I would label
Yeah.
creative. And yet when you explain that, you're absolutely right. And then Alyssa pops on and I'm like, oh, well, as a
Uh-huh.
fitness instructor, she's super
She
creative,
has to
creating different
inspire
workouts for
people. She has to
people and
find
all of
way to
that. So,
communicate, all of
yeah.
those things. I think.
Yeah. And I think the communication, the team building, the things that come out at work for you.
I know, I see
Oh,
that.
Alyssa says, I don't know
Yeah.
if you can see these comments.
She,
Can you see it?
she's
Yeah,
so
she
cute.
misses your beautiful face and hearing your voice. I know. I know. We are. So, for a little trivia about Nilla Weber, Nilla and her husband Chris are the only people besides me and my kid's dad who were
And there
at
are
all of
four.
my kids' weddings. So no grandparents. Yeah, and I have four kids. So that's a lot of weddings. And they all got married
Yeah.
within what, about 6 years or
Yeah.
something
It
of each
was
other. So
great.
it was like a lot of weddings. But I mean, of course, I gave birth to them very close together. So that means life events usually happen very close together. But I just thought that was so cool. Like none of my sisters, none of my husband, their dad, he's not my husband now, but none of our other
Mm-hmm.
family members made it to all
Mm-hmm.
the weddings. They made it to some, but not all of them. But Nilla and
Hey,
Chris
we
were
don't
the
miss
only
a good
ones who made it
party.
to all four weddings. So that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
exactly.
And that took some creativity too. Uh, but I think that that's such a great point is that part of, I think what I would love people to get out of this episode tonight is to really
Yeah.
expand their view of what they label or think of as creative, because what you've done in Alpha Lavelle, the company that you work for, and the various, I mean, you've played so many roles in that company
Mm-hmm.
just over the 17 years I've known you. And when I think of myself and all the years I spent in real estate, all the problem
Mm-hmm.
solving
Yep.
there, that's very creative, and how to make a business that runs on so little um,
Yeah.
company dollar be
Yeah.
productive, not productive, profitable, you know, all those things. And certainly I see it now as an entrepreneur. Like I think me running my business, you running your jewelry business, that's easy
Mm-hmm.
enough for me to see that's a creative process. But some of these other things, I haven't labeled them such. And but they
Yeah. And
are,
I
they
think
are
that
creative.
I was just thinking about it the other day. I had an especially tricky situation at work, and I was racking my brain on how to solve it. And it didn't just have to do with me. With I needed to convince and persuade other people to agree, and that we had to come up with a solution together. and it was getting inching closer and closer
Mm-hmm.
to this meeting where I was miraculously going to have the answer, or that is the pressure I put on myself. Like, of course, nobody was,
Yes.
expecting me to have the answer. And sometimes you just have to give in to that process of just like, it is the same thing when you're
Mm.
working on something creative, even if you're creating it in art. You just have to like let it go and just see where it takes you. It's just nothing that is said or done or scribbled is wrong. It's there for or a reason. So in this case with this meeting, I went into it, I had no idea what I was gonna. I had no solution. And I had decided from the beginning, like, I'm just gonna say, hey, these are the things I know, these are the things I don't know, and then we'll see what happens. And which is
Mm-hmm.
for me hard to do. Like, I want to have the answers, and
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and then we just started
Mm-hmm.
talking, and then in that meeting, then we ended up coming to that conclusion, and all of a sudden there was clarity. And it is just because I let go.
Mm.
I am convinced it was because I wasn't stressed out. I had just
Yes.
decided, like, all right, we're just going to have to, take more time to find a solution. And then that kind of let go of that
Mm-hmm.
pressure. And then so being creative and finding your way is all about letting go, and it seems so counterintuitive, but that's the and it's hard to
Mm-hmm.
do. And it might seem like difficult
Yes.
advice to follow, because I have a hard time following it myself, but I know it to be true.
Yes. Yeah, so I love that you just brought that into it because I had a client I'm working with. We had a session today, and she's a business client, as a couple of mine are.
Yeah.
So, not kind of traditional life coaching, but of course, all business is also a mind fuck, right? So, there's always mindset stuff and things like that that play into it. But these clients are very purposefully working with me to grow their business. And in that
Yeah.
conversation today, we were talking about surrender because there is so much, and I'm with you. I mean, you know me really well. My first intuitive or instinctive, I'll say, not intuitive, instinctive
Hmm.
nature
Yeah.
is to control things.
Me
I
too.
want to I want to control it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. This is why we're such good friends. Hey, Midge. Oh, awesome. Midge is here too. She's a uh, new to building her life coach business, and but even in the structure of a business environment and as solo entrepreneurs, there's
Hmm.
such an aspect of surrender that is
Yeah.
involved. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
just make yourself insane, totally insane. So I want to mention Alyssa's comment. So she says, for some people, running is helpful and for self-reflection, and can get
Yeah.
creative juices flowing, not necessarily
Hmm.
creative itself, but it
Hmm.
inspires creativity. So I think you're totally right about that. I think most people that tell their stories of being creatives, that story will include something they do to be inspired, not necessarily super formulaic. Okay, I'm going to go run
Hmm.
and then sit down and make a piece of jewelry. But like you were saying, like you're out running and you get inspired by something. Or for me, of course, not surprisingly to anyone on this call, I'm sure, I'm walking on the beach and I think I'm just aimlessly walking on the beach, right? Like I rarely will set an
Hmm.
intention to have an idea. Occasionally when I'm feeling really dry, I might do that. But usually I'm just walking and
Yeah.
loving,
Yeah. I think that's
nature,
perfect.
loving being at the ocean. And then boom,
Yeah.
an idea pops in my head. That's the whole eureka thing, right? When we're not um, throwing our analytical mind at the problem, then the more creative parts of our mind can get into action and actually
Hmm.
solve the problem from there. And that's why it seems like, oh, it just, it happened when I'm in the shower. How many
Hmm.
people say that? I get all my good ideas in the shower because we've turned off that analytical mind that's
Yeah.
like, I got to figure this out. I got to figure this
Yeah.
out. I got to figure this out. I gotta. And then the more creative parts of our mind can get into action because that frontal lobe has sort of slowed down. Same thing during meditation. I mean, that's what meditation does, is slow down your frontal lobe or turn it off completely, depending on where your brain waves go. And I have I mean, since I've been meditating a lot, for the last year and a half ish, especially,
Mm-hmm.
I get tons of ideas, not necessarily during my meditation, but like as I'm kind of coming out of it, and I'll get an idea for a program or something I want to post, or, just whatever. So I think that having those practices, so to speak, that we know,
Yeah.
it's not a formula. I don't insist
Yeah.
that every time I meditate, I get a good idea, right? But I
Yeah.
want to put
Yeah.
myself in that fertile ground,
No, I
right? Yeah. So
yeah.
Sandra says, hold on, sorry, 1 second. Sandra says it's like finding oh yeah, oh Sandra, this is so good. It's like finding the most open
Yes.
part of yourself
Yes,
and then
exactly.
letting
That's the
go.
surrender part
Letting
there.
go. That's
Yes.
so good,
Yes.
Sandra. Yes, that's a great way to
Yeah.
describe, because it is an opening. It when you if you and I've done this, so maybe no one else has, but I'll admit that when I do something that sometimes in my head I call surrender,
Yeah.
is really giving
Yeah.
up, right? I'm defeated and I'm giving up,
No. No,
but
you're
that
right.
doesn't feel open. That feels very closed in and, and hard. And so that's a whole different thing. And so, like, I think, I don't know, one of the last couple of 100 days of living orgasmically videos I did, because I got behind a little bit. And so I posted 3 of them today. And in that set of 3, one of them was on trusting your body, and kind of that body compass exercise of understanding, how does my
Yeah.
body feel when I'm in joy, and, my creative juices are flowing, whatever, I'm happy, like all of that spectrum. How does my body feel? And it's always in some way or another more open. Whereas if I'm in stress, or, and the farther you go down the line into despair and depression, the more sort of closed in and
Mm-hmm.
withdrawn and heavy and, constricted people tend to feel. I mean, it manifests in people's bodies in all kinds of different ways, but there's sort of those 2 commonalities, where one is much more
Mm-hmm.
closed and one is much more open. And it's so
Yeah.
important to know yourself that way, so that you can sort of call your ego on its bluff when it's telling you this kind of spiritually lovely concept of, oh, you're just surrendering this. But really what you're
Yeah,
doing is
that's a
just
good
in despair
distinction
and
to
giving
try to
up,
really be truthful
instead of true
and
surrender.
honest with
Yeah.
yourself on that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a
Yeah.
couple more comments to catch up with here. And then, of course, all of you who are with us live, or if you watch the replay, post any questions you have, that you would love for us to answer in the comments.
Yeah.
And even if it's on the replay, we'll come in and answer them. And then we have a question that was pre-submitted, so I want to get to that too. But so Alyssa says she hates running, but taking but taking a long shower can be a great quiet moment in her head to just think and be with herself. I think that's so true. I love escaping to the bathroom in a good way, for a shower or a long soak in the tub, because it relaxes your body, right? Like, that's creating also a physical complement to what you're wanting to experience, because I know where I want to go is going to be open and, with ease or more relaxed. And so let me go put myself in a physical setting
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
that's going to naturally occur anyway, instead of hopping in an ice
Yeah.
bath and hoping to relax and open up, as a silly example. Who would do that? But we do that to ourselves in other ways, where we have like this totally unrealistic expectation that I'm going to put myself in this really stressful
Yeah.
environment and then
Yeah.
be
It
really
doesn't
open,
work. No, I think that that's
and
super
that's a
important
hard way
to
to do it.
think about. When do you get your good ideas? Like, think back on that, like, and maybe make a note of it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I got this good idea in the shower, or I
Mm-hmm.
got my good idea almost when I
Mm-hmm.
was just about to wake up. Like I know that a lot of people get like a lot of good ideas like in that time
Mm.
right before they wake up and they're almost
I
sleeping
get
or
that. Like right
or
as I'm
is it at
coming away.
night
Yep.
or is it in the morning? Is
Hmm.
it when you have music on? Is it when it's
Hmm.
quiet? Is it outside? Is it in your favorite room? Is it,
Hmm.
so because that could look very different for all of us. Yeah, where I
Everybody.
um,
Hmm.
I am a morning person. I needed to be somewhat quiet, et cetera, et cetera. But they could look totally different for somebody else. So I cannot advise on what that is, but just keep in mind on when you do get a good idea, what was happening. And then that is probably like something
Yes.
that's very good for your mind.
Yes.
And then try to create that, or at
Yes.
least know that that's a very good place for you to be inspired.
Hmm.
Yeah.
To be cultivating that. Yeah, because I think so many things, that's why I love the word practice, even though I haven't always had an easy relationship with that word, because I have been such a perfectionist. I'm not saying I never am, but I used to be worse, where if I didn't think I could be good at
Yeah.
something right away, I wouldn't even do it. So like I wasn't big on practice. I mean, I
Yeah.
might
If you're
practice
not
two or
good,
three
then I'm
times, but
not.
then I'm done,
Yeah.
right? I'm out. If I can't be, yeah, then I'm out. So practice is a word I have a certain amount of resistance to because of perfectionism. But all these things,
Yeah.
they are practices. You do it a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and then you find out, oh, well, this really cultivates my creativity.
Hmm.
Oh, this kind of shuts it down, you know? And so Alyssa's posted a question. Nilla, do you get writer's block with your jewelry? What do you do when you want to make new pieces but don't have any ideas? Or do you just wait for the inspiration? And I'm going to add to her question because, like, I'm her mom, right? So I can glom on her question. I'm particular. This is a great question. I'm very curious in all regards with your business, with your jewelry. But one of the things that really intrigued me is that, and I'm sure you
Hmm.
started this months ago, it's
Hmm.
just in my awareness, it was recent,
Yes.
this new collection that you have, which is the picture for those of you who saw the blog. It's the two women holding hands and the bracelets with the circles that are connected. So this
Yes. Yes.
connection, the connection series, that's what you call it. Yes. Okay. So those pieces
Hmm.
to me, a non-jewelry designer, were so different than the other kinds of pieces you made. So to me, and sorry, I hope this doesn't feel insulting to you. I put your jewelry mentally kind of in three categories, where you have all
Hmm.
the beautiful pieces with stones and all these precious stones and beautiful things. And of course, they have chains and other things, but their
Yeah.
real focal point to me are the stones that are in them. And then you started doing a year or so ago a lot of really fabulous stamped things like my
Yeah.
expand bracelet that I have on, and a lot of the jewelry, that the earrings that I gave for free gifts with the
Yes. Yes. That's right.
queen crowns, stamped on them, and all that cool stamped stuff. And now this new collection is very different from all of that. The shapes
Hmm.
are different, the style is different to me. So yeah, so talk to us about when you get like blocked, and do you just wait for it to come up naturally, or do you try to stimulate it? And what makes you go from, I mean,
Hmm.
those are three really different things. What
Yeah.
makes you kind of whatever
Yeah.
go from
So
one
if
thing
I
to
start,
another?
there's a lot there, but I'll try to see if I can remember to answer all of it.
Yeah.
But I know, Alyssa, you said, what do I do if I have writer's block or when I feel stuck? Um, I have to say that, I mean, beautiful and I don't stop until I'm satisfied with it. But in that process, I don't feel like I ever have that I get stuck. I have ideas in my head that are swimming around there all the time. But like I said, they're not finished. So it will take me time to finish them. And to me, that just will take it whatever time it takes. So I don't think that I've ever felt like, oh my God, I have to really think now and come up with something spectacular by Wednesday, or else.
Oh,
I
interesting.
get
Or like, I
nothing.
got no idea. I got no idea. There's
No,
no
I
more
mean
jewelry
it
left
could
in me.
definitely
I
be
have
where
nothing. You
I
don't ever
feel
get there.
because since you mentioned I do work full time, so when I come into my studio at night when I've
Yeah.
had already worked 8 or 10 hours and I sit here and I have scarfed
Hmm.
down dinner and I'm just trying to find time, I might realize that I'm kind of stuck. This is not the day. Like I cannot. This is I.
Yes.
Nothing's going to happen. Like I'm too stressed. I have too
Not
much
happening.
other things going on. I'm not in that
Yeah.
flow. So then Alyssa, then that day I just like, that's off the table. You're not gonna, continue on that design project today. Maybe I'll just finish another project where I already know what to make, like it's an order, and I just have to make something, where
Mm.
I don't have to think,
Okay.
in just making it, where the
Hmm.
creative part is gone out of it. It's just actually crafting and making and doing.
Doing it.
But
Hmm. Hmm.
I have also, I have to say, maybe the privilege and luxury of like I don't know, I don't feel like I need to come up with new ideas all the time. I feel that it's important to have a
Mm.
few good jewelry lines, and that's what I'm working on now. But I don't really care how long it takes. I don't know, like I don't really care how long it takes. Like
Okay.
it's
Oh,
because it is that
yeah.
process, and I'm having a lot of fun in the meanwhile.
Hmm.
But I realize that
Hmm.
um, that's when it comes to the jewelry. But I do have another sense of a deadline when it comes to work, for example. Like because in my own work, I can set my own deadlines. So I'll just say I don't have deadlines and I'm off the hook,
Hmm.
right? But but um, um, but for my day job, there is definitely deadlines, and that sometimes a deadline can also be what puts that extra little pressure on you to actually sit down and do the thinking, do the work. Sometimes you just need to do the
Hmm.
work.
Hmm.
um,
Have you read the book, the I want to say this right. The
yes,
Is it the War of
the
Art?
War of
It's
Art
not the Art of War.
by
It's not the
yeah, Steve
yeah, the War of Art.
something.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes, some guy, and it's a little tiny book, but
Hmm.
I thought that was a great, like he's all about just like
Yes,
put your
he's the
butt in
guy
the
that said
chair,
that.
you know,
His quote is,
and
"Oh, I love
yeah,
this. Put your ass where you want your heart to be." So it's like, okay, you have this in your
uh-huh,
heart, you want to
yes, yes,
create, you
yes,
want to do this and
yes,
that, but it just never happens. And then he says, well, you just have to put your ass
yes,
where you want your heart to be, and just sit down, just
yes,
start scribbling, start doing something, take one step, and then the rest will follow.
yes.
Yeah, I love that quote.
Take one step. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I think that's so great.
Oh
So here we have
no,
these fun facts about Nilla. All
you
right.
guys
Fun
know me
facts
too
about
well.
Nilla and our family. This from Alyssa. I know. She made jewelry for, this is so true. I forgot about this, Alyssa. Thank you. She made the jewelry for 3 out of 4 of the
Oh,
weddings.
did I?
And right, you did Miranda's wedding jewelry, Alyssa's wedding jewelry, and Lee's, what my son Eric, his wife Lee, you did
Yeah,
hers.
yeah, that's crazy.
And then also
Yeah, for
for
her prom,
Alyssa's
I remember
prom
that. Alyssa
15
was
years
all into
ago.
orange.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Orange, Alyssa and orange. And then
Oh,
Claire
I
chimed in that you
did.
made her wedding
Yeah.
jewelry as well. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if
Yes,
I
you
ever
just
get
let
married
me
again, you can
know.
make
Yeah.
my wedding jewelry too. Okay. Okay. I
But yeah,
will
you
let you
had some
know.
other
I'll let
questions.
you
I know
know.
I just answered a
But
little bitty piece of that.
yeah,
Oh, the
no,
transition.
well, so when no, that's all right. Yeah, from the kind of because those are three really distinctive, different.
Yeah.
To me, they're very different
So
styles.
I see that.
Oh, good.
It's
Sandra
funny.
says you're going to make jewelry for her next wedding too. Oh, wait, she's never
Well,
going to
hey,
get married
Sandra,
again.
I can just make you jewelry because you're you. You know, we don't have to get
Yes,
married.
we don't have to get married. We don't need an excuse. We don't have to get married. I have so many pieces of Nilla's jewelry and I love them so much. It is so rare that I wear them
Oh,
and a
that's fun to
stranger
know.
doesn't compliment me on them. I mean, when I was working, so some of you know, I spent about whatever, 6 weeks or something early this summer working at Nordstrom, and I happened to work in the jewelry department. So I was always, wearing different things. And a lot of time I wore your pieces and I got so many compliments and everybody's like,
No.
did you get that
Yeah.
here? I'm like, no, my friend made it for me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So
But anyway,
I
back to
think
the
actually
collection.
what happens
Um,
there is like evolution, right? So I started out with doing wire jewelry and gemstone jewelry because that's the class I went to way back when. That's how it all started. So I learned that technique.
okay.
And then, always being curious about other techniques, I started, okay, what is the stamping about? So then I just, got all the tools and everything to do that.
Oh,
So
right.
probably during that phase, my creativity was geared around learning that. So then a lot of that type of jewelry came out. Then I'm like, oh, playing with a torch and a flame, that must be fun. So I started soldering and started, doing that. So every
Oh,
time you
yeah.
learn something new, then that opens up a whole new way of creating jewelry. So what actually, I didn't think of that until you
Hmm.
asked the question, but the new collection actually includes all of that. So it's the first time I've been able to do that. So it has, there
Oh,
is like
right.
some wire jewelry piece of it. I
Oh,
texture it,
right.
stamp part of it, and I solder all the
Yes.
pieces, and
This.
and
Hmm.
also so that's like technically like different pieces that I'm now able to make that type of jewelry that I wasn't
Hmm.
before. And then also
Hmm.
in a little bit
Hmm.
of the maturity in, I created my business almost 2 years ago. And I
Okay.
think also
Yeah.
with thinking a little bit about how to be efficient and what works and what doesn't work. I never really cared about that before. I've just gotten like
Hmm.
a stronger sense of starting out a collection with how do I want somebody to feel? It doesn't start out with, oh, I want to make something with a flower.
Mm.
That's kind of starting in this end. I have these pieces. How do I make something of that? But now I feel like I'm on this side, like, oh, I want the result to be that somebody feels like this. How do I make that happen? And then I kind of backwards create
Yeah.
something that achieves that. So I have evolved throughout all this, and I don't, I love my early pieces too. They have so much charm, and I love them. But now it's
Yes.
fun because I can actually combine all of it into a glorious, just combination of things.
Yes. Yes. It is a glorious combination of things. Okay, so that opens me up to, five other questions. But here's what I want to do. I
Yeah.
want to ask the question that was submitted, and I'm going to read, but before I do that, I'm going to read Alyssa's comment. So she says she wishes she could share a photo. She loves the necklace that you made
Oh,
last year,
yeah,
or
yeah,
the one
yeah.
I gave her for Christmas last year. She said it makes her so happy every time she wears it. So, Alyssa, what I would encourage you to do, you can share a photo. So, put it on tomorrow or something, doesn't need to be today, and post a picture in the Facebook group just of you in that necklace and tag Nilla, say it came up after our coaches and cocktails,
Yeah,
drinking and talking. Sorry, the new name,
that's
drinking and
right.
talking.
It's catching on.
And, so you're posting it because I think every, you're a trendsetter. Everybody would love to see it. And you're right. Like, even though I picked it and I bought it, no, I mean, I picked it with your help because you knew, but I feel like that was a piece that I was like, ooh, I think I want that for Alyssa. And then you were like, ooh, well, actually, I put it on my website
Yes.
and she said she
Yeah.
liked it. Like, I think that
Yeah.
was a very serendipitous little thing where I picked it too. And when I see it on Alyssa, sometimes I forget I gave it to her. I mean, like, I don't think about it right away, and it's just like, oh my God, I love that necklace. So, so Alyssa, give us a picture of that. And then, yes, Sandra, so totally right. Your process is a lot like how we want to
Yeah,
apply ourselves to
evolving.
life. Yes, that's exactly it. It's evolving, and we can't. This is something I've certainly learned as an entrepreneur, and I'm still in the baby stages in all truthfulness in the grand scheme of a business. I mean, I've only been full time for not quite a year and a half, and released my first program like 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. But even for that, like, I've evolved so far in a year and a half or 2 years from where I started. And you can't expect yourself to be like, you can't, what we tend to do is compare ourselves to somebody who's already
Yeah.
very experienced, very successful, and just be like, damn it, why haven't I figured that
Hmm.
out? Why aren't I there yet? Well, because you got to crawl before you can walk. Like, you can't just bypass steps,
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
growing process in anything in life. Sometimes we have what feels like a leap, but I think even the leaps are predicated by all kinds of homework, whether you realized it or not, that were happening early on. And then it just seems
Hmm.
like all
Yeah.
of a sudden you
Yeah.
get something, or you have this big aha. But really, a lot of things were going on behind it. But so the question, and I think this is so important, she said a lot of ideas of creative, so sorry, I gotta move my phone, things that she has a lot of. I can read. I haven't been drinking too much. I can still read. I have a lot of ideas of creating things I want to be doing, but I feel like I can't find the time. And when I have a little time, I'm tired, and I'm pretty sure I stare at a wall or I scream
Mm.
waiting to go to sleep. So and I think this is so good, especially for you as a
Yeah.
full time, having this full time, really important, demanding job. What do you do with that? Like, what's your
Yeah, so
answer
if I,
to that
because we have so
dilemma?
much going on in our lives, right? So when you are done with your daily chores and you are sitting down and feel like that you describe, like, oh my God, I'm exhausted, like I don't even know where to begin. That might not be the that might not
Mm-hmm.
be the best frame of mind to put the pressure on yourself to do something or
Mm-hmm.
to think of something new. Maybe it would be relaxing for your mind at that point to do. Like, if I know I made this necklace 25 times or 200 times, I just do that just to
Right.
start doing something, and then my brain kind of relaxes, and then maybe I can start doing something. But if you sit
Yes.
there with your blank paper and you are so tired and you just put your kids to bed and you know the dishes are in the sink and this and that, like, that might not work, to start with a blank paper. So then,
Mm-hmm.
if maybe then just take a little baby step. Like, don't put the pressure on yourself to figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Just whatever it is that you wanted to create, whether that was a painting or a piece of art or building a piece of furniture or something. Maybe you just scribble down some thoughts you have about it, or make a sketch or drawing,
Mm-hmm.
or, like, don't actually start building the thing because it's not, but maybe you can take a step
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
towards it, because maybe it will relax you in some way. But there you just have to give yourself permission to
Mm-hmm.
to maybe
Mm-hmm.
create another time where it's better. And then again, go back to, like,
Mm-hmm.
when do I get my best ideas? Is that at night after work, when
Yes.
the kids just stopped screaming and crying, and I just have this hour to myself? Is that the best time? Maybe you need that for you,
Yeah.
um, and maybe try to schedule
Yes.
it at that time.
I think, yeah. Yeah, I think that's so important. And I'm sure she got this from you. But when I went to hear Liz Gilbert um, speak about her new
Yeah,
book,
I
City
love
of
that book.
Girls, which I totally recommend, such a
Yeah.
fun read. Love, love, love that book. I so didn't want it to be over. Um, but that was one of the things she said, is that she thinks it's so important to really pay
Mm-hmm.
attention. When are my best creative times? And nobody's going to have, it's not like you're going to come up with 6 hours a day of that. Okay. None of us have that. Like, it's just not,
Mm-hmm.
that's not how
Mm-hmm.
people work. That's not how our brains work. Like the cycles of our body aren't really designed to go for more than
Mm-hmm.
90 minutes on anything and be productive. That after 90 minutes, they say you just need a break, whatever. So don't think that in doing this exercise, you're going to suddenly like think you have to be creative 6 hours a day. Like,
Yeah,
find the
I
30
agree.
minutes or find the 15 minutes or whatever, but that time of the day that you're most productive, and then make the most of that. Like, even if you have a job to go to, if you're a morning person, and I am too. So if I was working a full-time job, I would get up early, before whatever that meant, like back in the day when I had 4 kids at home and I was doing different kinds of creative things, I would just get up early,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it meant, earlier than they did. Because for me, I know when I get to the end of the day, by the time I put those kids to bed, or now in my life, by the time I've had dinner, even if all afternoon I thought, oh, I'm so energetic and I'm going to do this work tonight,
Yeah, you
by the time I've
can't.
had dinner,
Mm-hmm.
I have no
Mm-hmm.
interest in doing,
Mm-hmm.
it's just not my time. It's not my time. So just
Mm-hmm.
respect that and work with that, like leverage that to your own benefit. Because if we all carved out, if you have a full-time job, whatever, if you carved out 30 minutes a day, 5 or 6 days a week that you were devoting to whatever that is your art, right? Whether it's painting, writing, a book, a
Mm-hmm.
business, solving something for something, whatever that is, creating new fitness workouts, like whatever it is that is your creative thing. If you were to really spend 30 minutes a day, even 3 or 4 days a week on a consistent basis with it,
Yeah,
you would
yeah,
start opening
yeah,
up all sorts of things just by the doing of that. And really, but what we tend to do is discount it and be like, even if we don't say it this way out loud exactly, but like, until I can spend
yeah,
20 hours a week doing it, it's not even worth starting. And I have a full-time job and I can't do that. And and so we make this internal, even sometimes unconscious demand that it has to look like this. I have to have this many hours. And I always say 0 to something
yeah. You're right.
is the hardest part. Something to better is tons easier. It's
Mm-hmm.
getting from
Mm-hmm.
nothing to
Mm-hmm.
something that is the hardest part. And if you devote on a regular basis, even if you just start with, I'm going to spend, 4 days a week, 30 minutes those 4 days, just
Yeah.
doing something that will inspire me. I'm listening to music, I'm meditating,
Mm-hmm.
I'm walking. There's no agenda that I have to come up with an idea. I'm just going to cultivate creative
Yeah.
inspiration.
Yeah,
It
it
will
will.
happen.
Yeah.
It will just happen, you know? Yeah. So Alyssa says it's also
Oh,
super
of
important to give
course,
yourself grace.
yes.
Oh my gosh, so true. Okay, she didn't learn this from me because I was not very grace oriented when she was a kid. But um, if you do not have a creative idea or an aha or a masterpiece or epiphany in that set time, no, I want an epiphany. Um, but practicing makes time to
Yeah.
allow those things to come. That's it. And
Yeah.
because it's really
And I
surrendering to that. It's
and I I,
surrendering
I
even
think
to
that
that
sometimes
process.
it can be um so before when I was talking about like learning new techniques and refining things and like that wasn't always easy. Like there were times when I had bought all my soldering equipment and it was just sitting here for weeks without me touching it because I was afraid of it. Like, what
Hmm.
if I can't do it? Like, so that whole
Yes.
um, I think that afraid of failing is a big piece for me in creativity, where that kind of
Yes.
builds. I have some resistance there, and I think it's normal. So but yeah. So it was just sitting. I
Yes.
had all the
Yes.
tools. I had all of it. I had obviously ordered it, spent money on it, paid for it. It was shipped here, and then it just sat. And what held me back
Hmm.
was to get from nothing to something. And I'm telling you,
Yes. Yeah, because once you
Yeah.
started firing away there,
Yes.
because I was living
Yeah.
with you during that
That's
time. I
right.
was staying with you. I
Yes.
don't remember if that
And
was
I just like,
December
I'm
or
gonna do it
February, but I
today.
was
But I had
there.
said that
And
25
but
times and never done it. And
yeah,
then I did it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But once you
Yeah,
fired up
exactly. So
that
there was
torch,
like
man, there
once I
was
had
no going
gone to
back.
something and kind of crossed that threshold,
Hmm.
then it was easier to keep going. But yeah, like I just think that whole
Yes,
there
to
is
keep
a
going.
little bit of fear of failure that we just have to then just think, so what? It's just a little piece of silver. If that melts into something
Right.
unrecognizable, so what? Like, like, no, yeah,
Right.
like what does it
Right.
really
Nobody died.
matter?
Nobody
And
died.
yeah, I did burn a lot of things to a
Right.
crisp before, I got better at it. But that's okay. Like that's, I mean, that's how we, like, how could that be perfect from day
Yeah.
one? And I know I have to work with
Right.
myself to
Yeah.
get a
Yeah.
little, more braver with that and have grace for
Grace.
myself. But Alyssa, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And I love Sandra's comment too that it's time
Yeah.
spent for itself, like that inspiration time or whatever. Yeah, that no agenda and just do it for just to
Hmm.
give yourself the gift of this time that doesn't have an agenda, and the most it would
Yeah.
have is an
Yeah.
intent
I
to be
totally agree.
inspired, and that brings my experiences,
Yeah.
that brings about really beautiful results. Yeah. Well, I think we did it
How is
again.
that possible?
5:59.
I mean, I didn't
I
even finish. I
know.
didn't
So
even
most
finish
of
my
my
drink,
co-hosts are
and I
like,
made
I
Chris make me a sidecar because I thought I was gonna gulp this down. Yeah, but I have my
oh,
side.
you're gonna just gulp it down. No, I know. I have my sidecar too. Um, but yeah, so this is beautiful. So it's so funny because most of my co-hosts are like, "Will we be able to talk for an hour?" Like, I don't, and I'm always like, if
Yeah,
it's
and
only
I
30
said that
minutes,
too.
it's only we're not
Hmm.
gonna like force this. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you said that too, and here we are. It's an hour, and it's
Yes.
gone by like it was 5 minutes to me.
Thank
So
you.
thank you for giving us that peek, behind your creative process. And Sandra, you said it the best, which is it
Yes.
is the process for life. Like that is the same approach that we need to take to life, and not forcing ourselves. Now, this is hard, and I know, I've had to do a lot of practice what I'm preaching this year. But when life throws at you really stressful things, circumstances, and, whatever, it's very easy to get in that. I have to figure this out now. What's the solution? I have to figure, like, disasters on its way. I have to figure that out. I have to figure that out. I have to figure that out.
Oh, she
Alyssa
did.
got to her second
Oh.
drink. She's an overachiever,
Yeah.
and she's her mother's daughter, right? So, um, but we can get in that. We can get triggered into that
Yeah.
insistence. I've got to come up with something. I got to come up with something. I got to come. Whereas if we could let go and let ourselves, whatever it is, like get in the shower for Alyssa, go for a run, get in on the beach, like just give. One thing I've learned so much this year is as much as we tend to put time pressures on ourselves. I have to figure this out by tonight. I got to figure this out by tomorrow morning. Like I only have two
Hmm.
more days until something, is happening, and I have to. If I will let go of that and put myself almost like I got all the time in the world to figure this out, right? And if I feel like I'm dying for a nap or walk on the beach or
Yeah.
that hot shower, whatever, I'm just going to go do that, even though this
Yeah.
problem is totally legit,
Right there.
okay, and
Yeah.
totally pressing in right there. But I'm trusting that if I take care of myself internally, I mean, this, I feel like I say this ad nauseum sometimes, but if nothing else, I have learned this year that our internal world is so much more important than
Yeah.
our external, our out, word circumstances and stuff. Because if I can take care of that inner part, that's where the idea comes up in the shower or the whatever, because we don't make our best
Hmm.
decisions from
No,
any
true.
state of stress. And so even if, your rent is due tomorrow and you don't have the money today, and I get that, but whatever kind of solution, even if it's okay, I have to move out, like even if it's not what you want, is my point, when it comes from a place of I'm loving and accepting myself and giving myself space to be open and be open to possibility, whatever that decision is so much easier than when that
Mm-hmm.
same decision, I've got to move out, I got to move out tonight, comes from a totally stressful, totally diminished,
Yeah.
very, desperate part of ourselves. And typically I get
Yeah.
a better solution than I have to move out tonight, when I take care of that inner state. And so I spent someday when I write the memoir about this last year and a half or so, one of the things you can hold me accountable to this, everybody. I want to really be honest about the time I spend every day just
Mm-hmm.
working on that inner state before I will let myself go to my business or because my feeling is if I don't take care of the inside first, whatever I'm creating in
Mm-hmm.
my business isn't really going to turn out that great, you know, because it's not coming from the right place. And yes, it's time consuming, and it's to a degree, it's, I don't know, it sucks in a way, like whatever, like I'm a very doing, I would much rather be in
Mm-hmm.
motion and be doing a million things. But
Hi,
oh, here comes
Lori.
Lori, better late than never. um, um, but I have just really learned to trust that process, that even though I can have a deadline for a blog or something like that and think I have no ideas or I'm just not in the mood to write it. And if I let myself, what I want to do is go walk on the beach, or what I want to do is go take a nap or read a book for a little bit or whatever. If I will let myself do that, that blog post
Yeah.
then just is fast and
Yeah.
furious, and I meet my
Yeah.
deadline, and all is well, instead of forcing myself into something that I'm really not emotionally or
Yeah,
whatever
no, I mean,
internally
I
ready
totally
for.
agree. And I mean, I think we need to do a separate episode on how you do that because I see
Yeah.
you do it all the time, and I'm in awe in how and that you are able to do that. Like yeah, it's
Mm,
very impressive to me how you hold that steady pace and don't waver. And yeah,
mm,
that's amazing because that
hmm.
takes some
Okay.
creativity too to do that and
Yeah. Yeah.
to not let to not yeah to not waver, not to what you said, give up because you were just saying I'm surrendering, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
like take some time for me and this will work itself out. That's very hard to do, I feel.
This will work itself out. Yeah. 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 So yeah, that would be a good, because that's one of those things that even as you're saying that, like I don't, yeah, I'd have to think about how I would
Hmm.
describe how I do that,
Because
because to
that's
me it feels
natural
like
to you.
something I just
But
kind of
yeah, but I'm telling you,
made
it's not
myself
for
do.
anybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. But I love, it's not so, and it's not really in my nature. So even as I hear you say it's natural, I realize that's not really true. Like I did do
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I'm just not sure what that something is that I did to kind of switch over to that. But I love Sandra's comment. And hi, Lori. We love to you too. Sandra's comment, I think, is a really
Yes.
great way to sort of wrap this up with us, which is that in this, what we're talking about, we're belonging with the universe
Mm-hmm.
instead of
Yes.
fighting with
Yes,
it.
Sandra. Yes.
And I think that's so true. That's so true. And I know that deeply embedded in however I've shifted myself into this kind of process exactly is that. And the way I would say it is just a really deep, abiding belief that I had to cultivate. It was not natural to me, okay? But you can cultivate these things. It's a practice, right? That actually everything is happening for me, you know? And so even though there are circumstances, and God knows, like Sandra has many, many health challenges, okay? And I've had not health challenges at all, but other, financial and business and whatever housing, like other life challenges, that even when circumstances show up that totally 100% suck, and are totally 100% scary, that there's still an abiding belief that I'm going to be okay, and all of this is going to be for my good. Because what is it in our lives that how horrible it may be, that we don't look back and go, oh my gosh, like that was horrible, and it took me to my next level. It took me to, I figured so much stuff out. People say all the time with cancer and, all kinds of different difficult things. Yeah, what I thought was my worst nightmare ended up being my greatest gift, And so that's what I try to tell myself when I'm in the midst of it, is that even though this doesn't feel like it, I trust that I'm going to look back and say, this is my greatest gift. So how do I want to be in that? I don't want to be frantic in that, So that's so beautiful, belonging with the universe instead of fighting with it. Yeah. Yeah. Lovely. Lovely. A perfect note to end on. Cheers to everyone.
I have
I have to go to my
too.
sidecar
I
now.
look at this miserable little glass. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have a little swallow. Miserable little glass. Yeah. Yeah. So ladies, we love you. Mwah, mwah. Thank you for being with us. And for everybody, women or men who join us on the replay, we love our men who love these conversations too. Nothing better than a conscious man, right? And we will answer any questions that come up. Yeah, we say what we learn. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anything that comes up on the replay, we'll answer those questions too. And tomorrow, probably sometime tomorrow, I'll get this up on YouTube. So Nilla, you can share it out to your audience as well from there, and anybody else. It can just be hard to find these things buried in the feed of the Facebook group.
YouTube
so you
channel.
Can go to my YouTube channel, and there's a cocktails and coaching playlist, and you can catch the replay or watch it again there.
Love you, Alyssa.
All right, thank
Lori,
you, my dear.
Claire, Sandra.
I love you
everybody.
so much. Yes, Sandra.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, Midge, everybody. Yes, thank you. Bye-bye.